everyone for being here tonight. Thank you everyone for being here tonight. Mr. Canellis, if you're able to call roll, please.
Ms. Calvez.
Here.
Ms. Carosella.
Here.
Mr. Corey.
Here.
Mr. Hayward.
Here.
Ms. Parlamas.
Here.
Ms. Scarpelli.
Here.
Ms. Stevenson.
Here.
Ms. Rendell. Dr. Robinson.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Mr. Corey, are you able to lead us through the Pledge of Allegiance?
Certainly. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Ms. Scarpelli, can you please remind us of our mission statement?
I will, yes. The Glen Rock School District, founded on principles of education, in partnership with a supportive community, provides an exceptional education to all students to cultivate resilient, responsible, and engaged global citizens.
Thank you. Adequate notice of meeting in accordance with PL 1975, Chapter 231. Notice of tonight's meeting was mailed to the Record and the Ridgewood News on January 9th, 2024. Notice of this meeting was also mailed to the Borough Clerk and was posted on the bulletin board of the Board of Education office in the Administration Building on the same date. All right. Mr. Campbell.
Thank you, Dr. Robinson. Can you hear me?
I can.
Great. Just getting right into it. Winter sports are in full swing. Basketball, hockey, wrestling, and track have since started. Senior night for the hockey team is Friday night at 7:30 p.m. at the Ice House in Hackensack. And the media team is going to be broadcasting and commentating live for the games for home basketball and wrestling. And everyone is encouraged to tune in. Last Friday night, December 12th, the Coffee House was hosted here in the Glen Rock High School cafeteria. Students performed music and poetry in a night of the arts. And on Wednesday night, December 18th, it will be the Glen Rock High School winter concert, and each of our choirs will perform. In other news, an announcement about finals this year was posted. So those will be from June 17th to June 20th. It's a change for all students at Glen Rock High School, as none of us have been in high school since the pandemic, but it'll be good for preparation for college. The holiday slideshow is also going to be shown this week. Seniors in the media arts class are going to be presenting their work at a school-wide assembly. And in general, the school climate, students are excited for winter break, but there's a lot of tests to get through between now and then. It's an important time for seniors as early decision and early action decisions are coming out around this time. And the December SAT and ACT just happened on the last few weekends, and so students are awaiting their scores from that too. So it's an exciting time to be a Glen Rock High School student.
All right. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Any special plans for the holidays?
Oh, I'll be going to Maine to see my cousins.
Awesome, awesome. All right. Excellent. Anything? All right, thank you, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Moving forward on our agenda, we'll have our presentations. All right.
So we have two presentations that I'm going to let Mr. Violante introduce, and we'll bring some folks up here.
Hope everybody followed all our fall teams. We had an amazing fall season. Won 7 sports. We won 5 league championships. And of those 5 league championships, of all the teams, they lost 1 game throughout the season. Cross country, boys and girls, Although they didn't win the league, boys were 9-1, the girls were 7-3 and came close. Girls soccer, 12-0, made it to the sectional finals and then lost. Volleyball, sorry Kathleen, made it to the sectional finals, but they were 12-0 also. And also the spectators coming to the games was unbelievable. The football, soccer, volleyball, great crowds. Football went 5-0. They lost in the sectional finals. Boys soccer, 9-1. You had the only loss of all the fall teams, but we won't hold it against you. But they won. They made it up. They won the sectionals, made it to the state semifinals. Girls tennis, 12-0, won the sectionals and made it all the way to the state finals. Pretty impressive. A lot of hard work by our athletes and our coaches, but the way they competed was the most important thing. If you watched us play, they played with great enthusiasm, energy, and sportsmanship. That's what it's all about. Great to win, but when you win with class, makes it even that much better. I think we have a lot to be proud of all our athletes, especially what happened in the fall. I'd like to begin with boys soccer. Matt Beverin, our boys soccer coach, is a former player of ours and a student here at Glen Rock. After watching Matt as a player for all those years, I've had the pleasure of watching him grow as a coach since he took over the soccer program a few years back. And this year, he was voted by his peers as the NJIC Coach of the Year. I'll let Matt give you the particulars about his team.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. Thank you. First off, congratulations, girls tennis. Well done this year. Just some words about the boys soccer team, I guess, as Mr. Violante just said. 16-4 and 2 this year overall, 9-1 in league play, NJIC Colonial Division champions and North 1 Group 2 sectional champions. With our success this year, some stats about us. We had 9 players earn all league recognition from first, second, and honorable mention all league. We had the NJIC Colonial Player of the Year, Alex Kim. Good job, Alex. We had 4 players earn all county recognition, 2 players earn all North Jersey recognition, and 4 players earn all state recognition. So kudos to the boys. They're doing a great job. We look forward to defending our championship next year. So thank you for having me. Guys, just start walking up here. It's okay.
I'm not sure how the
Yeah, we can do it outside in there. How's it going? Nice to meet you. So we'll start with Victor Kupasek. Let's go. Go there. Go there. Ruben Tishko. Braden Scott. Good job, good job. Evan Setlow. Wyatt Morrissey. Good job. Lucas Mayer. Luke Arena. Matt Heenan. Andrew Kim. Owen Main. Gavin Quigley. Drew Carlin. Jacob Sasanoff. Josh Pack. Zach Silverstein. Good job. And Alex Kim. Good job. Might not have your name in it. Cool.
Thanks, guys.
We'll exchange around there, make sure.
Congratulations, guys. Yeah, me too. Girls tennis had a new coach this season as Matt Markham took over Bonnie Zimmerman. And believe me, that was a tough act to follow. Those of you who watched Bonnie coach over the years, nobody had more success than she did. But the program never missed a beat. Matt is a longtime successful tennis coach in his own right, and he was a home run hire. We were very lucky to get him. The transition was a smooth one, and the wins kept on coming. Very impressive year, made it all the way to the state finals. I'll let Matt tell you about the team and their accomplishments.
So thank you for having us. It's a pleasure to be here in front of you. As Mr. Valenti said, I've known Bonnie for years. For years and years, we battled as tennis coaches, and when the girls' position opened, she had said, "Would you be interested?" And I said I would, as I knew so many of the Glen Rock players because they play over at the Fairlawn Racquet Club, and I just knew this would be a great fit. So thank you for welcoming me and having me. It really has been great to be here. So, just to restate, undefeated league champions, we won the state North 1 group sectional title, and then from there we went down to the Final Four in Mercer County Park. We won our first round, made it to the finals, and that was one of our only 2 losses of the season. The most impressive part about this team is it was done with 6 out of 8 underclassmen as our starters, so we have 6 players coming back, and our goal really is to finish the job. I see them already practicing and working year-round. And one of the things I could say about this team that was most impressive was how committed they were, how hard they worked, and honestly, really, as was said before, how classy they were to their opponents, how they represented their town, their community. Really one of the best teams I ever had the pleasure to work with, and I really appreciate it. And with that, I'd like to have them come up and you can introduce them. All right, I'm going to go in order. So Lily, come up first. First up, we had our number 1 singles player, Lily Cole, who was first team All-League, third team All-County, and third team Group 1 All-State. Next, we had our second singles player, Kira Lynn, first team All-League, and next year's captain. Next up, we have Sophia Lear, third singles, second team All-League, and next year's captain. Next up, Isabella Lynn, first doubles. Her partner's not here, but they were first team All-League. And our second doubles are 2 Sarahs, Sarah Putzer and Sarah Kiros. Second doubles, second team All-League. Our seniors, captain Alana Putzer. And Kylie Campbell, who broke my heart. She was injured our second practice. She would have been a starter, but she still came to matches. She was our captain, and it was devastating not being able to have her this year. But she's in full recovery from ACL, and hopefully she'll be playing soon. And then last but not least, one of our backups, undefeated, Caden Campbell, sophomore. And I also got to say we had amazing, amazing parents. Tennis matches were not just matches, they were events. And we had a great, great support, and thanks again. I got to make you look good.
Give them a moment. All right.
Student athletes, we love having you here, but we also know that you probably want to get home at this point. So feel free at this time to take your exit. You are free to leave whenever.
It's up to you. Yeah, oh, come on.
Happy to have you. Yes.
This is exciting. Awesome. Oh, there you go. All right. Are you able to bring us your CSA report? Do you
I have a brief report that I will definitely share. So the first thing that I want to share with the board members again, last night I'm looking at the weather and I'm not happy to see what I saw. Don't enjoy that part of my job. So let me just remind you and anybody watching, we sent out communication a month or so ago about kind of how it rolls out, how the snow day planning and all that such happens. So just to give you the real nuts and bolts of that, if I see any kind of weather in the forecast, I'm on the phone with Mr. Canellis, and he's working with Buildings and Grounds between like 7 and 9 in the evening the night before, and we're talking. We're making sure we're paying attention. We're making sure things are happening. I'm in contact with other superintendents of neighboring districts to see what their thinking is. If we see that something is bad enough that we're going to cancel school tomorrow, it's bad at that point. We're going to send out a notice by 9 p.m. If you don't get something at 9 p.m., go to bed, because we're not sending anything out after 9. That means I'm waiting to see if the snow is actually going to fly like any kind of forecast is. So the next step will be, if it's something that's predicted for later or where it's iffy and it's not really panning out, Mr. Canellis and I are going to be on the phone at about 5, somewhere in there, because he'll be on the phone with the police department and he'll be checking with Buildings and Grounds, and I'm probably still going to be texting with my superintendent friends, and we're going to be talking around 5. If we make any decisions at that point to delay or close, you're going to get a notice by 5:30 at the latest. So that's kind of the window of time. We want to be responsive to parent needs. They need to make plans for what's going to happen if their kids are, but that's kind of the time frame. We want, above all, safety, but we also want kids in school as much as possible. We know we have staff members who travel from distances to get here. I travel from a distance to get here, so we're going to be cautious about that, but we're going to wait as long as we can to decide, unless it's really something strong and imminent. So just want to refresh your memory of that, because where I came from this morning, there was about 3/4 of an inch of precipitation on the ground. So it's pockets here and there. So we know. But I also know that a lot of staff members come from other distances, including from where I was. But the roads were fine, so everything was all right. But anyway, just want to remind you of all that. You mentioned the holiday concerts. There's one coming up on Wednesday for the high school. There was one last Wednesday for the middle school. I was not able to attend because I had a rehearsal for my own concert, but I plan to be there on Wednesday. Are you going to be there?
Unfortunately, probably not. It's a lot of tests and quizzes happening at this point. But
Anyway, I do encourage folks to go there. And I just want to wish all of you and the board and the community a happy holiday season and good rest. And most of all, I want to wish the happiest, healthiest holiday season to Ms. Scarpelli, because this is her last board meeting with us. And so we want to thank her for her 9 years of service on this board. Ms. Scarpelli was the president when I came on, and boy, was that a trying time. So we really have always appreciated your steadfastness and support, and we have a couple of things here for you.
All right. I'll say thank you so much for all that you've done for the community and for the leadership that you've provided. When I came on, Ms. Scarpelli was president, and it was like Greg said here, and quite a difficult time for everyone, both on the board and off. And you led with grace, and you provided a good example of what it is to be in leadership. And I'm just thankful for that, and thankful for you. Thank you.
Keith.
flowers in there? Take it out. Should I put my book too? Keep it in the box.
Well, you can't see what it says when it's your sweater. I had to speak today.
And that concludes my report, Dr. Robinson.
Yeah, if you want to.
I just want to thank you, Sharon, for your years of service. I remember back sitting at the lacrosse games, discussing your possible run, and here we are 9 years later. I just, even before I was on the board, we had many conversations, and we disagreed a lot. You were always respectful, you were always kind to me, and I appreciate that, and I really did enjoy working with you on the board. You have a great historical perspective, and I've leaned on you many, many times with phone calls, including today, and I will miss that, but I wish you well in all your free time.
It's a hard day for me. You're my mentor. So I was introduced to Sharon, the concept of Sharon, when she was running for her first term. A friend of mine was over, I just had a kindergartner and a pre-K student, and she's like, I don't talk about politics. You know me, I don't talk about it, but I have to tell you about this person. And she just, like a glowing review, talked about your passion, how smart you are, how you much care about the school and the community, and what a great mom you are, and just all these wonderful things. And I remember thinking, I would love for someone to just feel that way about me. Like, it was such a compliment. So I voted for you, and have really enjoyed watching you over the years lead this board and this contributing to the community and to everything you've done for my kids and all the kids of the district. COVID has to go down as one of your biggest accomplishments as far as keeping the district open and keeping morale up. It was incredible. And then when I joined the board, you've been there for me, teaching me, helping me navigate everything. You're a great listener. I've learned so much from you about how to listen to the public, how to have empathy, to really put myself in their shoes when they're sharing any challenges, and that's been really helpful, I believe, for me. You leave the board with probably the best reputation of any board member. I think you have a high regard. So anyway, I could go on and on. That's why I wanted to write it down, but I couldn't because I was, and whatever. I'm going to miss you, but I know we're going to keep in touch. And, well, we can still call her. So anyway, thank you for everything.
Our time together on the board was short. I know we only had 1 year, Sharon, but I really do appreciate all the things that you've done for this district in the last 9 years and in the last year for the board and for me personally. So you'll certainly be missed, and like Karen said, have fun having a lot more free time in your life.
My time's even shorter with you, but I would like to thank you for all you've done. 3 terms, 9 years is a long time to serve, and you did it tirelessly, and I thank you for all your service to the community. My only regret is that I could not serve longer with you, and I wish you well, and thank you.
So I didn't prepare anything to say, but I feel like I need to say something without crying. I appreciate everyone's really sincere thoughts. It does really mean a lot. This is not an easy position for anyone to be on the board. It is a very fulfilling position, though. It's for every bad thing that might happen, or you have to navigate through some difficult decisions that not everyone's going to agree with. There are some bright spots, and all it takes is one thank you to make it worth it. So that's how I've been on the board for 9 years. I want to thank the public for everyone that had supported me all these 9 years and voted for me. And I just hope that I represented them in a way that makes them proud and know that I did any vote I made or anything I've decided on as a part of the board was really for the kids and our community. And that was really my only agenda, was to do what I felt was best for our students and our families. So I will, this is bittersweet, I will miss this, but I definitely will enjoy my Monday nights at home. So, but I really do appreciate all your kind words. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, onward and upward. At this time, at 7:35, I'd like to open up our first of two public comment sessions. The first one is for agenda items only. Please only make comments on the agenda. There will be a second public comments later for open public comments. Just state your name and your address, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Hi, good evening. Kathleen Walter, 86 Midwood Road. First on the agenda items, I just wanted to say, especially for the volleyball parents, since we did have the sports on there, when we beat an undefeated team, Secaucus, they actually complimented the volleyball parents. The coach said how respectful our team and our parents were. So I just want to show what good sportsmanship we have. The second agenda item I would like to address today is, as the GREA negotiator, we appreciate the contract being signed. It was hard work on all ends. We actually started this process even before December of last year, so it's been a long year, actually a little bit over a year, and we appreciate that it's finally getting settled and that it's signed and everybody is satisfied with the contract so that it's signed. And I also wanted to point out that the GRE appreciates the openness and the transparency on the public vote tonight on G7 for the GRE grievance. So we wanted to point those things out tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Walter. All right. Seeing no additional public comments, we'll close public comments at 7:36 p.m. On to our general resolution items. If I could have a motion to discuss G1 through G9. Ms. Scarpelli, seconded by Mr. Hayward. Sleeping at the wheel. Are there any questions or comments? I know I would like to just make note even of item G2. So are you able to actually just give like a one or two sentence? I know, we had the pilot with our younger learners, and now.
Sure. So it's actually G2 and G3. So a year or so ago, we started a pilot of a couple multi-sensory reading programs for our primary grades, K through 3. When we looked at the various programs, there wasn't a lot available for grades 4 and 5 at that point, so we decided to hold off a year and see what else we could find. So those programs ran last year for K to 3. This fall, we implemented the Sunday program for those grades, and so we've begun the search for a word study program for grades 4 and 5. So we reviewed a variety of different ones, and so this year we are going to pilot 2 of them again for grades 4 and 5. One is the Sunday system, and the other one is called the 95% group. So as you know, there's a lot in the news about multisensory reading, about the science of reading, and these are 2 programs that we feel are beneficial for students, and we're looking. Primarily, the pilot is to figure out which fits into the rest of our curriculum as we have it now most seamlessly, and which follows the K to 3 most seamlessly.
Thank you. Thank you. That was even more comprehensive than I thought, so thank you.
May I ask Glen a question? I'm sorry.
Yes.
I remember the Sunday was Orton Gillingham based. Is 95% group also, or is that a different foundation? Just out of curiosity.
Now you're getting more specific than I know. So Orton Gillingham is one of the multisensory modalities, one of the trainings that people do, and I don't know if this is built off of Orton Gillingham or if it's built on some of the others. I know there are a couple different brands, if you will, of that. So that's splitting hairs that I'm not prepared to answer, but I could certainly get back to you on that.
And then also part of the pilot will also be able to help you to elucidate some of the aspects of the differences between the different types of programs over time in the future. So thank you. Yes, Ms. Stevenson.
Can you just give a little background on G6 so everybody understands how we got to where we are with that new position?
Yes, so G6 is establishing a position of K-12 supervisor of instruction. So last board meeting, you appointed me as acting superintendent, which leaves a hole right there of curriculum and supervision of that. So specifically, the things that I talked about last time, or at least I've talked with some of you about, are some of the things that I need as assistant superintendent to maintain and monitor over the next few months that I can't while I'm in this role. And those specifically are monitoring our curriculum and instruction, monitoring for CUSAC. So we're working with the state right now in all of that, and that's a big lift and an important piece for our district. That includes what you've heard me talk about many times, the multi-tiered system of support initiative, especially Tier 1 instruction that we're focusing on. That includes the elementary coaches, which are new positions this year. So to maintain and monitor that and really get that moving and going in the direction we want, as well as the work that we're doing with co-teaching initiative, K-12, and all of those things. And the last two would be just the ones that we just talked about now, which is continuing this K-3 phonics program, making sure that that's moving forward, and also monitoring the pilot of the 4 and 5. So all of the curricular duties of my job that I do as assistant superintendent need somebody on top of that. So what we are doing is creating this position, supervisor of instruction, so that we can appoint one of the other supervisors to do both of these roles. And that is the way within the GRAA contract to get them compensated for it, because they shouldn't, they're taking on a whole additional role. It's not just, hey, pick up some more observations. This is outside of everybody's role there.
Okay.
Is that enough?
And then,
I'm sorry, I just want us to be clear that this position is going to be abolished at the end of the school year, is that
So
correct?
once I am back into my normal role and this person is not needed, then we will ask the board to abolish this job description.
So we're not just creating a new position that's here
That is
moving
correct.
forward, right?
Yes.
yes.
And so there's no intention in the upcoming budget to budget for a K through 12 supervisor of instruction?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Are there any other questions on our G items? Yes, Ms.
I just wanted to comment on G8 and echo Ms. Walters' comments that, you know, I'm excited to see this on here, finally signed. I know we had approved some things earlier, but I do think that I've been on the negotiating committee 3 times, and I do think that each time, I think it's gotten better and better, and while we both didn't get exactly everything we wanted, we wound up on a good spot and a great place to continue moving forward at the next round of negotiations with them. So I'm very happy to approve this.
Yes, definitely agreed. And it's right here, ready to sign. So this is exciting. Thank you. All right. No other questions? And Mr. Canellis?
Ms. Calvez,
Yes.
Ms. Carosella,
Yes.
Mr. Corey,
Yes.
Mr. Hayward,
Yes.
Ms. Parlamas,
Yes.
Ms. Scarpelli,
Yes.
Ms. Stevenson,
Yes.
Dr. Robinson.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Great. I need a motion to discuss B1 through B7. Ms. Scarpelli, seconded by Ms. Stephanie Carosella. Oh, yep, sorry. All right. Anybody have any questions or comments with regards to B1 through B7? Ms. Stevenson?
James, can you please just elaborate a little bit on B5, 6, and 7? Just kind of explain what's there? Thanks.
It's, thank you.
After our last meeting, when we had approved the stadium project, and I was getting ready to prepare a purchase order for our architects, I realized that they had a clerical error on the proposal that they submitted. The estimate that you all approved was at the correct amount, but the proposal that they had submitted for us to sign and remit to them was missing some of the scope of work, in particular, the extra costs in replacing the track as opposed to resurfacing it, and for the roof on the press box deck. So those two items were omitted from the proposal, and this merely in B5 rescinds what we approved previously, and then in B6 approves the revised contract. It's $25,004 in total. So that's what we're doing. We're rescinding what we did last time and then approving the correct amount proposal. Again, no change to any of the amounts that were approved in terms of the total scope of the project. It was merely a clerical error on the side of the architect. And I believe now you're asking about B7. What's happening on B7 is we opened a bid on Halloween for a replacement service to provide aids when ESS was unable to fulfill their obligations under their contract. And we put that out as a low bid proposal. When the bids came back, for the concerns of what the impact of those bids would have on the existing ESS workforce would result to some very disadvantaged budgetary situation for us. So we are taking all of those bids, we are rejecting all of them for budget being over budget, and we will revisit our subs and paras vis-a-vis a competitive contracting procurement method, which the board allowed me in the last meeting to pursue for the 25-26 school year, and probably some combination of whether it be extensions or in fact term outright for another 4 years.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. If there are no other comments, if we could please call roll, Mr. Canellis?
Ms. Calves,
Yes.
Ms. Carasola,
Yes.
Mr. Corey,
Yes.
Mr. Hayward,
Yes.
Ms. Parlamas,
Yes.
Ms. Scarpelli,
Yes.
Ms. Stevenson,
Yes.
Dr. Robinson.
Yes,
Motion passes.
thank you. Can I have a motion to discuss P1 through P9, please? Ms. Scarpelli, seconded by Mr. Corey. He was snappy. Can I have, or any questions, comments? Yes, Ms. Stevenson?
No questions this time, but taking over for you, Sharon. On P9, I'm just abstaining as it pertains to me.
Thank you.
I'm there twice.
Noted. Ms. Scarpelli?
And on P9, I just wanted to note, I think the first line should have just 2 asterisks as retro. The one for the NJA ASPO, it says December 3rd, right?
Yes, December 3rd. Yes. Correct. Got it. Thank you. I understand now what you're saying. Okay. Yes.
I'm also listed on P9, so I'll abstain.
All right. Abstentions noted.
Yep.
Yes.
On P9, I want to thank my colleagues for attending because we taking extra time out of time we don't have and bring back some helpful information. So appreciate you both for doing what you did there.
Full gratitude, thank you.
Thank you. And we'll definitely, I would say we'll discuss that as well as part of like our old business, new business section, so we can bring back what we learned and close out our P items. If no other comments, then we can take roll on our P items.
Ms. Calves,
Yes.
Ms. Carasola,
Yes.
Mr. Corey,
Yes.
Mr. Hayward,
Yes.
Ms. Parlamas,
Yes.
Ms. Scarpelli,
Yes.
Ms. Stevenson,
Yes, except as noted.
and Dr. Robinson.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Excellent, thank you. Now, on to our HIB resolutions. We have 3. I would also like to make note that HIB 3 is removed from the agenda for review tonight. So we will be discussing HIBs 1, 2, and 3. I mean, 1, 2, and 4, correction. Can I have a motion to affirm the decision made in HIB 272276 as reported during the November 25th closed session? Ms. Scarpelli, seconded by Ms. Parlamis. If you're able to call roll, please.
Second?
Oh, well, second by Ms. Parlamis, sorry.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I'm losing my voice, and so it's a little bit gentle. If you're able to call roll, please.
Ms. Calves?
Yes.
Ms. Carasola?
Yes.
Mr. Corey?
Yes.
Mr. Hayward?
Yes.
Ms. Parlamis?
Yes.
Ms. Scarpelli?
Yes.
Ms. Stevenson?
Yes.
Dr. Robinson?
Yes,
Motion passes.
thank you. For HIB number 2, I need a motion to discuss or affirm HIB 2. Ms. Scarpelli?
Dr.
No,
Robinson?
we're doing 3. We're rescinding,
We're doing 2?
yeah, we're doing 2.
2 is not a, could you just read it?
All right. So for number 2, be it resolved that the board, upon recommendation of the acting chief school administrator, rescinds GRMS HIB 267518, affirmed by the board on June 24th, 2024, and August 26, 2024, for student ID 215270. All right. Ms. Scarpelli, and then seconded by Ms. Stevenson. All right. And then please call roll.
Ms. Calves?
Abstain.
Ms. Carasola?
Abstain.
Mr. Corey?
Yes.
Mr. Hayward?
Yes.
Ms. Parlamis?
Yes.
Ms. Scarpelli?
Yes.
Ms. Stevenson?
Yes.
Dr. Robinson?
Yes,
Motion passes.
thank you. All right, and as we noted, HIB number 3 is removed from the agenda. And for HIB number 4, I need a motion to affirm the decision made in GRHS HIB 270838 after conducting a hearing at the request of the parent as reported by the CSA during the October 28th, 2024 closed work session meeting. Ms. Scarpelli, seconded by Ms. Calves. Roll, please.
Ms. Calves?
Yes.
Ms. Carasola?
Yes.
Mr. Corey?
Yes.
Mr. Hayward?
Yes.
Ms. Parlamis?
Yes.
Ms. Scarpelli?
Yes.
Ms. Stevenson?
Yes.
Dr. Robinson?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. All right. And for our vandalism, suspension, and HIB reports, you can see them right here for your review. All right. I would like to open public comments number 2 at 7:52 p.m. If there's any members of the public that would like to speak, please do so. Just mention your name, your address, and you have 3 minutes. At the end of the 3 minutes, you will hear like a alarm go off just to give you a gentle reminder. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Yuriko Bertram, 136 Harding Road. Most of you probably know exactly what I'm here for. Sharon, you want to take a guess? Yeah, well, okay, the music program. Yes, very good. So music is something that makes people happy, right? And it's something that I've been trying very hard for the last, I guess, 9 years to try to get this school to get an orchestra teacher. Sorry, I'm a little bit emotional because I feel like Sharon knows this. Every time I see her, I've been harassing her. Sorry. We've had many discussions at Whole Foods and whatnot. I've probably accosted many of you about this. So, who went to the middle school concert last week? Anybody? Because the biggest group on the stage was the string program. We had over 40 kids, filled up the entire stage. Guess what? They don't have a program to grow into. The high school does not have an orchestra. It's very, very sad. These kids cannot, if they wanted to play their instrument, guess what? They have to join the band. And the violin players are playing flute parts. The cello is playing trombone parts. It only takes a few kids to start a chamber group and then grow it into an orchestra. If you don't have an instructor, they will never be able to get there. Some of the kids are good enough to make all-state. Think about that. Some of them are best in the state. We have very talented kids, and we don't have an orchestra. Please tell me why. I've been trying every year. I've spoken to 3 superintendents ever since my kid got into middle school. I've been going to every single middle school, high school concert for the last 9 years. I'm on year 10. And guess what? We still don't have an orchestra. The band program is shrinking. I don't know why. Mr. Wasik is a very reputable, very good teacher. We have good teachers. We have talented students. Do they feel the support? No. I feel like the band students, kids who play instruments, do not feel supported. The choir is also shrinking. I don't know why. Maybe because some of the inflexibilities in the scheduling in the middle school. Maybe because there's less creativity in the way we staff it. I don't know. But something needs to change, because otherwise we won't have a music program. I had a chat with Mr. Ficoselli. He said very sadly that the district was not replacing him after his retirement. That's one less music teacher instead of adding one. Taking this opportunity to say, okay, thank you very much, Mr. Ficoselli. Let's get a new, possibly an orchestra teacher. Let's grow these kids. These kids don't have a place to grow into. Yes, the marching band got new uniforms. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. The kids were excited, especially about the fact that they're washable.
Ms. Bertram, if you're able to wrap up your comments, I
Okay.
appreciate everything. I just really want to make
But
sure.
please, think about it. I'm at my wit's end. I can't do this anymore, so this is the last time you'll hear from me. But please, do something, because music does make people happy. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bertram. All right. Are there any other public comments at this time? All right. We are closing public comments, 2 of 2, at 7:57 p.m. On to old business, 26-27 draft calendar.
So for the board in backup is the nicer looking version of the calendar we talked about last time, with the days that added in as you requested on the February break, to have a 4-day break there to make it. And we had somebody make it look a little sharper than my scribbles and highlights and such that you had, which are about as bad as Dr. Charleston's scribbles and highlights. But so it's there for you. And then on the January 6th reorg meeting, the 25-26 calendar that has been a draft, we'll be asking you to approve as the adopted calendar, and then this will be approved as the draft for moving forward.
The following year, okay.
And can I just make a comment on the calendar?
Sure.
Just not being part of the board for the drafting of the 25-26 calendar. I know we're voting on it, so I've just been cogitating on it and hearing different opinions about it. And there's definitely, thoughts that are going through with the full week off in November and how it impacts the last day of school. So I will be reaching out, since we only have a month left before we vote, for each of you to just hear your thoughts on it.
And did you want to share your thoughts?
Yeah, my thoughts are more that, we have a full week off in November, it pushes out the end of school. So you, instead of ending on the, towards the end of the week, you're ending on a Tuesday, which impacts the summer, and kids have camp, kids have jobs, kids go to college, and you're pushing out the school year based on a full week off in November. And that full week off in November, I don't know if we, that's a time with a lot of, you have Thanksgiving break right after that, and there's this no school November I hear about, and I don't know if we necessarily need a full week off because it impacts other areas. That's my personal opinion, and I'm open to hearing everyone's opinion of how the draft came to be to have a full week off. That's all.
One of the things that had come up before with regards to the November and everybody, feel free to jump in. Let's say the Monday and the Wednesday are sandwiched in between a election.
Yeah.
And so then you're in school, then out of school, because for most of the schools, it's that you are voting, and it's really difficult to isolate the children from anybody that may be in the buildings for security purposes. So we've been out of school on days where elections are taking place in school, and attendance was potentially lower during that time because people were in, out, and they just decided and opted to potentially take their kids out. And then we have, is it the teachers' conferences on the Thursday, convention,
yeah.
on the Thursday and Friday. So that was how we trialed it. So this year was actually the first year that we did it, and I've heard from people, personally, that it was actually favorable. I've heard from a few people that said that they were either indifferent or didn't like it for one specific reason or another. I do think that, and this is all just me, Damali, speaking, not board president, just talking to you as a parent and a citizen, that looking at it for the second year would also be potentially informative to see while the other calendar is still a draft, as an option, because I know that personally I did not leave and do anything this year. I was home, and my husband was home, and we tried to figure out how to do the juggling with my kindergartner. But then I know that next year I'm actually going to look at it completely differently than I did this year. So I'm anybody else is free to speak. I just wanted to also Mr. Corey.
I think we're proposing in the future to not have that whole week off. I can just say having 10 days off was a hardship for me. So not everybody's work schedule aligns around our school schedules, and each day, looking at election day, that created an opportunity for the board to think, how can we change the cause of what's closing a school on this day? I think we might have seen an email come across, or 2 or 10 on this in the last couple months, with some pretty outside of the box and outside of the state law suggestions, really acknowledging some of the left and right limits. We have to have a certain number of instructional days, and then our job is really quality of instruction. And I think that's what you're circling around, is if we have one day in a week that's who's going to show up for that? So it's it's not so much of a gamble, but it's kind of it's a judgment that when I first came on the board, I saw hey, why is this happening? And I understood that 1 or 2 elementary schools had 30, 40, 50% absentee rate during a time period. And so it's something that kind of factored into that, but it also kind of pivoted my attention to say hey, we're within the realm of what the board can control, but how can we work with the community, maybe reassign some of the voting locations to get the school gymnasiums relieved for those days and not create the issues. These are all things we can just keep on talking about. This is nobody's favorite topic, and because you're stuck fitting a solid mandated number of days in between left and right limits. Thou shalt not start school before Labor Day. We established that. You can't go into July. We have to work in June. So there's nothing easy about this, but we've been working through it. I'm really excited to try to work with the town to move elections out of
I was going to
schools.
say with that, I know I'd asked as well. I did reach out to our borough clerk as well, and Mr. Canellis, you said that there have actually been conversations in the background going on with regards to the elections within the schools, that maybe not all of the schools would be removed from that, but potentially even elementaries is still being investigated. So I'm looking forward to how we can partner with the borough on making that a reality for Glen Rock. Any other comments, Ms. Stevenson?
I know when we had this discussion, if I'm not mistaken, the attendance data was shared with us. But if that could be reshared,
Yeah, that would be very helpful.
so you can have it, I mean, it's a hardship for parents where both parents are working to have the entire week off. It's not an ideal situation. I mean, you know, opening those 2 days, and I understand that if kids are absent and attendance is low, but if we can have that data one more time, I couldn't find it in my
Okay.
old emails, but I think that would shed.
Which includes the absentee rate, right?
Yes.
Yes.
The percentage,
Because-
I believe we got the percentage of kids that were in the building those days, correct? Right.
Yeah,
That would-
that would be very helpful.
That would be from 2 years ago when we were
Those 2
open
years.
those 2 days.
Yeah.
Because
So
this
it
year,
is-
we have no data, we kind of,
It is, difficult because 2 years back, we're looking at also a different timeframe for our district altogether, or our world. But yes, yeah.
I think it just gives a bit of a perspective. I mean, I don't think the best solution would be not to have voting in our schools, but,
Yeah.
that's a process.
It's a process, and it would help us to inform, like, for instance, like, just to remind the community, when we talked about having the draft calendar, part of that is for us to have start the discussions like super early. So even approving a draft calendar, still is a whole, year, away from us like voting on it at the following reorg. So, yeah,
Yeah.
you can get that data, Ms. Carpelli.
So I know I did share with the board an email I received from a prior superintendent that was here. And when she was here, Dr. Valente, she did a lot of research on trying to get the voting out of the schools. So I can send that, I don't know if I sent that to you as well, James, but I can send that to you because she really did a ton of work trying to get all the voting out of the schools so we could have that day. And there were a few roadblocks. So she shared that with me because she was actually watching our meeting. And she sent me the email with the information that she had previously. So I will resend that so that way everyone has it, so you're not recreating the wheel, or at least it points you in a direction of where she was with the town. With that, I would be interested too to know like how this last November was from the teacher perspective, having that whole week off in November. If they thought that was helpful in any way, that might help in your future planning on those days if you have those days. And then I do know there are some districts that have, which would never work at the elementary level, I know, but they do have a virtual learning day in some district. And I know that probably the elementary teachers that are listening to this are probably starting to, shake, because one thing that can work great at the high school or better at the high school and middle school, clearly we know from COVID was very difficult at the elementary level to implement, but that is another avenue people are taking.
There's one district that I know of that does a virtual day on that. However, I could not find anything legally that says it's permitted. So I would really not venture down that road if the state is saying no virtual, especially no virtual snow days or no virtual. I don't know how they do it, but it's on their calendar. And I reached out to a few people that said to me, they just do it. So I certainly would not promote doing that because I don't know that it's legal.
Yeah, I looked when you sent me that, so I don't see anything that supports it as well, per law.
And then I just wanted to address ending the school year on I think it's the 22nd that's being proposed. I mean, this year we're ending on the 25th or 26th. So we do typically end school around the 20th, 21st, but Again, I know this board has talked, or previous boards have talked about trying to get out of school earlier in June because it is late, but there is some give and take there. And I don't think we're at the point where we're going to start school that much earlier to get those days in ahead of time, so.
Yeah, the challenge is starting earlier, and, typically we don't have it on Fridays to make sure that we're inclusive for the Jewish community there and not going like beyond sundown. And then like with the grad ball and the Thursday and like some of the traditions, I think we're juggling, honestly, a lot of things.
I think these are all the right conversations, and I think everyone should recognize that it's not easy to do, and year to year it varies with all the holiday calendars, et cetera, which is why, just to say it one more time out loud, this is the 26-27 calendar, not the 25-26 calendar. So this is a year and a half away. We get lots of emails. I read them all. Some are very creative and good. What I'm staring at.
No, I think
Well,
Christine was actually talking about the 25, 26.
We are voting on it in January. So I was just commenting on the 25, 26.
So not the one in our backup that we're looking at,
But
that we're talking.
we do have
We changed something.
We do have a very legible thank you draft of the 26, 27 as well, so that's helpful too.
I mean, still applicable. Still applicable, though.
Still applicable.
So, yes, thank you. Any other comments at this time under old business? All right. Mr. Canellis for the new business item?
I feel like it's every meeting I'm coming to you with these allowance items. But I can tell you that where we are in terms of the construction lifestyle, we are rapidly approaching the point where I won't be coming to you with these things anymore. So bear with me as we go through this. So we're proposing, there are 2 allowance items that have come up as it relates to the preschool construction. So it totals to about $36,000. $26,000 of it has to do with additional demo work. We brought back a wall a little bit further to allow for a longer corridor, and we also had some additional costs to be incurred in breaking out of the exterior walls for our Airedale system. The one material was assumed in our numbers, and it turns out to be a different, much more difficult material to break through, which has resulted in that request. And then our second request, which was for another $7,000, is for adjustments on some of the doors that are in the area, in particular one that we did not assume to be a swipe door, that we do want to be a swipe door, so we have to bring electricity, et cetera, into there, and 1 or 2 door frames that needed to be upgraded. So the total price was $33,000, but we also have some credits coming back to us for work that they won't be doing as it relates to those projects, bringing the total cost down to $30,000. And as I said, we don't anticipate too many more coming. I think there's going to be 2. We're still working to finalize those, but we are still well within our allowance that was created when the project was approved. So we're happy to report we still have balance available, and we are approaching the point where I won't be coming back to you with allowance items. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. Does anybody have any questions with regards to the allowance items or anything like that? No? Okay. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the reorg meeting, which is, as stated here, January 6th. I see Mr. Cohen there. He'll be joining us. And some of the things that I've set up, because, like the way that the meeting progresses is that we go through and, vote for our new leadership. And so the meeting kind of goes a little bit differently. But to be prepared, I wanted to make sure that, we're on track with our certified board process and some of the things that we already have underway, regardless of who is, going to be taking over leadership for the board. So just as a reminder, we'll have our NJSBA field rep that will come and talk to us about ethics update. We'll be able to ask questions. It'll allow for it to be a bit interactive. as well as for us to understand roles and responsibilities as a board member. I think that's a great place for us to have a conversation that's interactive amongst us, in public, and we can discuss communication and just a lot of things that will set us on a good footing for our new board year, and getting us, on the same page for what works best for us in this borough, as well as, within the school system as well. With that, I think that to keep on task, I want to make sure that we do some thought process over, because on that same January 6th meeting, I think that we should discuss potentially any ad hoc committees that we want to implement. So just have some thoughts as to, what things that you think that as a board we need to be, looking into and discussing amongst us, or how we can better share communication so that, everyone feels like they're informed. And again, as we discussed before, it's not the goal to necessarily change our governance structure, but just ways to have, essentially more intimate conversations about whatever item that we discuss. I'm thinking maybe let's say 2, because we still will have our goals and things like that we're still working on. In there, for example, this is one that I was thinking of bringing up is, there have been a couple of either parental discussions and things about, religious observances, and making sure that the kids feel supported and that they don't feel penalized for any, religious observance that they may have for their family members. And sometimes there are things that, we have a, fairly clear policy with regards to that, but within that, there's still going to be events potentially that happen that are maybe parent planned or HSA planned or whatever it is, that don't necessarily take that into account all the time or remember it all the time if the observance doesn't fall, directly on the day. Because, school is out, but if it's in and, there's other things, there's 150 days on the calendar. So, my proposal, would be that maybe we create an ad hoc committee that could evaluate how we can more effectively, or if there's any areas for us to more effectively support our children, in the observance of their holidays. Is there, some sort of polling that we need to do, or is there some way that we can, revisit the policy and make sure that it's, as inclusive as possible? Maybe, you're able to, whoever would be running that, committee, if everyone, wanted it, would be able to then determine, what's the best way for us to evaluate that kind of thing. So that's the kind of thing that, I'm suggesting while I'm still president to, have you think about for the next, 2 or 3 weeks before we meet again, for some really good suggestions. And I think that we should move on them pretty fast because it is January, and we're trying to also appraise some of that data and work hard on it so that it's effective for the next year before we leave. What questions or comments or anything do you, Mr. Corey?
Yeah, thank you for bringing this up. I don't have any specific committees or ad hoc groups that to recommend right now, but just want to say I'm appreciative of the discussion, the idea. There are topics that really just are better suited by 2 or 3 people kind of sitting and digging in, and then coming back as kind of subject matter experts for the board to really know that we as in our trustee role have dug into something. So I think that's, with this working board, I think that's going to be a real value add to what we do to listen to the community, to listen to the administration, to make reasonably and educatedly supported decisions for our coming year. So just thanks, and I'm looking forward to that discussion.
I'm happy that you feel that way, because I know that, I feel like, we're also building upon that trust with each other, and I know that, each of us has, varying passions, right? And if you're able to do some more committee work and really get down to that level that you feel that you're more comfortable making the decisions that way, and then when we get into the board, because we still will have our regular, set of meetings, and we still will have discussions, but then it's just another layer that I think that we can attempt to really feel more comfortable about those conversations, and it's something to try. It's just something to try, see how we feel.
Would we be voting on those subcommittees in January? at the meeting?
I think, yes, I think that we need to vote on and discuss on that, and it's something to build upon, but I cannot say, because I will not be running that meeting as of what I know. I don't know, because I'm only president through this
Through
last
this
meeting.
meeting.
So I can't put that on the future.
I think if it's ad hoc committees, it's up to the purview of the president to do, so it's not really a vote. I think, obviously, the president, whoever it is,
Yeah.
maybe
I know.
you, I don't know, but whoever it is would take the feedback from the board members and would obviously go with what the board members want, but it's really up to the discretion of the president to make the ad hoc committees and to determine actually who's on it. So typically, we would get feedback when we had committees and more ad hoc committees back then. The president would solicit input from the board members and ask them what, committees they might want to be interested in being on. And then to the best of their ability, they would, place those trustees in where they thought that they would fit and what they, tried to accommodate their want and their desire, their niche that they could bring to that committee. But I think it's great that you're going to establish, like the board's committed to establishing some. I know, I've said it before, an ad hoc finance committee is definitely needed, especially during the budget process. There's a lot of discussions that should go on that might not be ready for public consumption. So those are things that you could do in a smaller setting and brainstorm ideas and get on the same page as the administration, and then, move forward as a group. But that is one that I think that you guys should really focus on bringing, but it's going to be up to you guys. So.
Yeah, I agree. I support all of that. But I think that we're also all enough on the same page that having this discussion now, regardless, when you guys, nominate whoever you nominate for president, then I think that we can collectively commit in this moment right now to doing that. So I look forward to our next board year. All right. I need a motion to adjourn the meeting. Ms. Scarpelli, all right, and I need a second. Oh my gosh, no one's gonna second this? All right, Ed is seconding it, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.